All right, folks, this is June 24th, 2023, and we have a breaking news update. The military coup in Russia has come to an end. In less than 24 hours, this military coup has concluded, and we have a deal that's been brokered by the president from Belarus, Lukashenko, and Prigozhin from Wagner, private military contractors, giving back in and returning back to the front lines to get back to work, I guess. Folks, we've been trying to break this down, and as I put out in the video this morning, I feel like I've been saying this at nauseum, and it's, kind of goes without saying, but I hope everyone understands why it's so hard to report on this news as it's breaking and to confirm any sort of credible sources in that region. Very difficult because you have both sides lying, both sides maneuvering, disinformation campaigns taking place, misinformation being spread. Trying to verify credible sources out of that region is the most difficult task. But I do want to break down and update this situation as we dropped the video this morning, and the situation has already changed. I figured that we better come back on and explain what has taken place. So the Wagner Group leader, Prigozhin, agrees to stop his attack against Russia. Belarusian President Lukashenko held talks with Prigozhin just now. Prigozhin has agreed to stop the movement of armed persons on the territory of Russia and to take further steps to de-escalate. So this is coming to an end less than 24 hours after it took place. Clandestine breaks this down and he says, "Let me get this straight. Prigozhin, who is fully funded by the Russian government, is close with Putin and engaged in disinformation psyops like no ammo in Bakhmut, says crazy Shiite again, and the Ukrainian folks didn't even consider the possibility of it being Russian disinformation." So apparently he's saying that this guy was engaged in misinformation, disinformation campaigns that were being ran as Wagner was a critical part of being able to help Russia overtake Bakhmut. And so apparently the disinformation then was that they had no ammo, that they were running out. And that was right before they actually took that territory over. So this is the same guy. Was he funded by the CIA and other NATO forces to do this? Is this part of the Russian disinformation? We don't know. This is unconfirmed. This is a little bit of speculation. But the good news is that this coup has concluded with less than 24 hours. And as Clandestine says right here, there was no civil war. There were 0 casualties. It was just Prigozhin being batshit crazy again, like he always is, and right back to the front lines after his outburst. What do I think? I think Prigozhin is working with Putin as usual to accomplish any number of goals. What did Putin gain? The disguise of the movement of mass quantities of his troops, the appearance of being weak to bait Ukraine to attack. They did and lost outside Artyomovsk. Okay, butchered that one for you, but a territory that Ukraine actually tried to attack in the last 24 hours during this chaos. And apparently they were stifled there again and lost that battle. And he weeded out any traitors who may have tried to join with Prigozhin. What did Putin ultimately lose? Nothing. There was no civil war, no civilians in danger, and now the country and the public are galvanized around him. Now, the NATO turds will be on to the next thing and the right back to hating Prigozhin and Wagner. They will forget that they briefly worshipped the man who took their beloved Bakhmut from them, just like they did with Belgorod. This turned out to not be the end of Russia, despite the Ukrainian accounts being certain of it. Now, and I did see that today. And actually, I can go up and you can go Google and you can go pull up the mainstream sources that are still trying to spin this as, victory for Ukraine. And, I actually pulled up Bloomberg earlier and they had a whole section titled Putin in Peril. And it was like multiple articles talking about how bad this was for Putin. But in less than 24 hours, this has come to an end, right? And as I said before, the only place this was a civil war was on the internet, and you just witnessed who is a reliable source and who is not, who reports on verifiable information and those who report on wild speculation. Careful who you follow, choose wisely. So as I said, this morning's update, we're reporting on what we got, and I'm putting in the caveat, guys, I can't tell if this is credible or not. We're just trying to cover this for you guys. And as we got to see, Twitter has really taken over as being the best source for receiving information being distributed and shared, and then information being verified and checked. And so that's what we saw here today. I want to give a huge shout out to Mario Nafal for hosting the ongoing 24/7 hour spaces. And he summarizes the situation with this statement that he just put out after hosting his Twitter space for about 24 hours running. Elon Musk joining the conversation. And they just did an incredible work over there, breaking this all down. This official statement from Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner Group and the leader of his coup, says it all. I don't think anyone expected this. They were going to dismantle PMC Wagner. We came out on the 23rd of June to March of Justice. In a day, we walked to nearly 200 kilometers away from Moscow. In this time, we did not spill a single drop of blood of our fighters. Now, the moment has come when blood may spill. That's why, understanding the responsibility for spilling Russian blood on one of the sides, we are turning back our convoys and going back to field camps according to the plan. So right as we were about to have bloodshed, they decide to pick up, turn around, and call a truce. The president of Belarus, Lukashenko, has been in talks with Prigozhin all day and is taking credit for the peace agreement. Prigozhin accepted the terms of Lukashenko's agreement and agreed to halt the movement of his forces and return back to his bases. The agreement also guarantees security for fighters of PMC Wagner. It seems that the attempted coup has come to an end, and Prigozhin, along with his men, will return to their bases. Reports of Wagner forces not only leaving Moscow Oblast, but also leaving Rostov. Russian media reports that criminal cases have already been dropped from Prigozhin, and that Prigozhin and his forces will receive full immunity. Restrictions on the movement of vehicles have been lifted from the Voronezh region, which saw clashes earlier during the coup. My thoughts. I did not expect this would end peacefully with a deal, as it seemed both sides seemed at the point of no return. I have no idea how Prigozhin and Putin can both operate in Russia with what just transpired, and I also have no idea what will happen with the war in Ukraine, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a peace deal reached. Today was another example of citizen journalism replacing mainstream media with unbiased and uncensored live breaking news. I am fried, been awake for more than 30 hours, initially doing a space with former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, before shifting to the coup space, which is at 21 hours and counting. Time for me to finally sleep, and huge shout out to Mario. He definitely deserves the rest, and hosting some incredible spaces over there on the Twitter platform. So that is absolutely amazing. Now we move on over. Matt XR Patriot shares this. In Tel Aviv, flag of PMC Wagner being raised high in the city, looking increasingly like Wagner rebellion designed by Mossad, funded by CIA, community aided by NATO saboteurs. Follow the money. Why did Wagner PMC headquarters offices have 4 billion unreported Russian rubles in boxes? And so, was this funded by NATO? Did they cut the check to them? You got the coincidence of the $6.2 billion being found under the couch in an accounting error that was supposed to go towards Ukraine. Within 24 hours after that, we have a coup within Russia. But then, as we're also seeing from these other guys, is this someone who was working with President Putin to, basically mislead the enemy? And, I think that we're going to be able to tell based off of what happens next, whether or not Putin takes out Prigozhin, or if he's, allowed to escape or whatnot. I think we'll be able to see if they were working together, or if Putin takes him out, then I would suspect that this was funded by the West, this was funded by NATO, and we found some of that money under the couch, and we were able to cut a check to the private military contractors within this country. As I stated before in this morning's update this morning, the private military contractors are guns for hire, and these are guys that I do not trust. But with that being said, the coup has come to an end, and now we watch, as we've seen. Derek Bros says this on Twitter: as I've been reporting for the past few weeks that the troop drills and movements were an excuse to relocate military around the country in preparation for a bigger event, the situation in Russia has all the hallmarks of a U.S. NATO operation splintering Russia's military. Putin's speech speaks volumes to this. Whatever happens next could be very bad. Be prepared. Have water and food storage. I believe things are about to get very real. Putin will not hesitate to attack the West and hard to save his country as he perceived it, and try hard to save his country as he perceived it. This speech says it all. If in fact the U.S. has coordinated this may have brought us to nuclear war. So we'll see. A lot of troop movements taking place over here. Military coup in Russia already down after 24 hours. But both sides making moves. We have a NATO summit coming up in a few weeks. NATO looking like they're getting more and more support, and seeing that they're going to have to provide more military and more funding to actually stand a chance Ukraine against Russia, as Russia has a stronghold here, stifling and ending this coup, whatever it was that took place over the last 24 hours, stifling and stopping the counteroffensive that was launched by Ukraine here recently. So Russia holding strong, Putin holding strong. I continue to pray for peace. But the other thing that I'm watching is the fact that the BRICS nations are coming up on their summit August 22nd through the 24th. the potential for them to launch the new reserve currency that they've been working on is what we are speculating on. And we're going to be anxiously waiting for the next NATO summit, for the next BRICS summit, and hopefully for an end to this war coming soon. But, excuse me, the main point that we continue to observe is that the powers that be have a lot to cover up, and they're willing to play dirty. And so that's why I do think it's important that we stay prepped up, food, water, essentials, tapped in. And if you guys appreciate this content, these updates, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up for me, hit that notification bell, subscribe. And if you're looking to get tapped in on another level, you can come in over to our Discord group. We just held another fantastic Discord weekly call this morning, and all of these weekly calls are shared in the Discord group, along with all the additional resources that we bring for our community. So if you want to get tapped in over there, head to my website, zachrector.com, and I will keep you guys up to date. We got more content coming later today. God bless you all. Thank you so much.